even when things were hard for him. After a while, the prison warden watches Joseph with a curious expression and is highly impressed. "Joseph, you're different from the others. I'm putting you in charge of the other prisoners." Joseph's face brightens with gratitude. He nods and begins helping organize the prison, gaining the respect of the other prisoners. Even in prison, Joseph was trusted because he always did the right thing. The Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker are thrown into the prison, their faces sad and worried. Joseph notices them and approaches them with kindness. Joseph gently asks, "Why do you both look so sad today?" The cupbearer and baker exchange glances, then sit beside Joseph. The cupbearer, who is greatly worried, said, "We've had strange dreams, but we don't know what they mean." Joseph knew that God could help him explain dreams, just like the ones he had before. "I dreamed of vines with 3 branches full of grapes. I squeezed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup." Joseph smiles warmly, confident that God will help him. "God is helping me explain your dream. In 3 days, you'll be free and serving Pharaoh again," Joseph said confidently. The cupbearer felt hopeful after hearing Joseph's words. The baker nervously describes his dream. Baskets of bread are being eaten by birds. "I dreamed of 3 baskets of bread on my head, but the birds were eating all of it," the baker expressed with so much worry. Joseph listens carefully, his face becoming more serious. "I'm sorry, in 3 days Pharaoh will punish you," Joseph gently said. Joseph was sad to share this news, but he always told the truth. In Pharaoh's palace, Pharaoh tosses and turns in bed, troubled by a strange dream of cows and grain. The cupbearer, who is now free just as Joseph interpreted, tells Pharaoh about Joseph. "There's a man in prison who can explain dreams. His name is Joseph. Joseph is brought before Pharaoh. The grand palace is bright and full of gold. Pharaoh sits on a high throne, looking worried. I've had a dream, and no one can explain it. I hear you can understand dreams." Joseph remains humble, looking up calmly. "I cannot, but God will help me explain your dream. I dreamt of 7 fat cows, and then 7 skinny cows that ate them. I also saw grain withering in the fields." Joseph's face grows serious but confident. "Your dream is a warning from God. There will be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. You must store food during the good years to survive the bad years." Joseph calmly said. Joseph knew that God was giving Pharaoh a way to save the land. Pharaoh's eyes widen in realization. He stands and smiles at Joseph, offering him fine clothes and a gold necklace. "You are wise, Joseph. I will make you ruler over all of Egypt to prepare for the famine," Pharaoh said proudly. Joseph is dressed in royal clothes, riding in a chariot, overseeing workers as they build storehouses for the grain. Because Joseph trusted God, he went from being a servant in prison to a great leader who helped save Egypt from the famine. What an amazing journey Joseph had, from a servant to a prisoner to a great leader. What do you think will happen next? Well, guess what? His dreams came true. Joseph is now a powerful leader in Egypt, bravely preparing for a great famine. He trusted God, and now he's saving everyone. Joseph walks among the workers, giving high fives and nodding approvingly as they bow in respect. He gazes thoughtfully over the horizon, hope shining in his eyes. For 7 long years, Joseph made sure Egypt stored enough food for the famine. He was determined to protect his people. Joseph, in a comforting tone, said, "Don't worry, friends, there's enough food for everyone. Egypt will be safe." Thanks to Joseph's smart leadership, Egypt had enough food, but not everyone was so lucky. Now back in Canaan, Jacob speaks to his sons outside their home, the land dry, and their animals weak. He sounded so worried yet strong. "My dear sons, I've heard there's food in Egypt. You must go buy some to save our family." The brothers prepare for their journey, determined yet nervous. They walk through the dry wilderness. They had no idea that the man in charge of Egypt's food was their own brother, Joseph. The brothers enter the grand Egyptian city, eyes wide with awe as they approach Joseph's palace. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they didn't recognize him, but Joseph knew exactly who they were. The brothers bow before Joseph, their faces weary and desperate. Joseph watches them closely, emotions swirling inside him, surprise, sadness, and curiosity. Joseph said, calmly, hiding his feelings, "Where do you come from?" Simeon, pleading, "We're from Canaan. We've come to buy food. Our family is starving." Joseph remembered their past hurt, but he wanted to see if they had changed. What would happen next? Joseph nods, allowing his brothers to buy food, secretly instructing a servant to place his shiny silver cup in one of their bags. Joseph came up with a clever plan to test his brothers. The brothers leave, unaware of the cup. Suddenly, guards catch up, shouting accusations. Guard shouted sternly, "One of you has stolen our master's silver cup. Whoever is guilty will become his slave." Shock and panic fill the brothers' faces as they open their bags, hearts racing. Levi desperately begged, "Please, don't take Benjamin. Our father will die of sadness if he doesn't return." Joseph watches from his palace, his heart melting as he sees his brother's love for Benjamin. When Joseph saw their genuine concern, he couldn't hold back any longer. Joseph stands up, tears glistening in his eyes. He takes a deep breath and calls his brothers closer. Joseph emotionally said to them, "I am Joseph, your brother, the one you sold into slavery." The brothers freeze, eyes wide with shock, hearts racing in disbelief. Judah, who was stunned, said, "Joseph? But how can this be?" They couldn't believe it. Fear washed over them, but Joseph had something beautiful to say. Joseph steps forward, kindness radiating from him. Joseph gently said to them, "Don't be afraid. What you meant for harm, God used for good. He sent me here to save lives and our family." Back to Canaan, where Jacob waits anxiously. The brothers burst in with joyful news. Joseph's brothers rushed home shouting with joy, "Joseph is alive! He's a ruler in Egypt!" Jacob, who was now overjoyed, said, "My son Joseph, alive? I must go to him." Jacob travels to Egypt, where Joseph stands waiting with open arms. Their emotional reunion is filled with tears and laughter as they embrace tightly. And so Joseph was reunited with his family. He forgave his brothers, and together they lived safely in Egypt, away from the famine. Dearest gentle viewers, Joseph's story teaches us about trust, forgiveness, and how God can turn even the hardest times into something good. Are you ready to embrace your own journey of transformation? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications so that you will be notified once there's a new video. Like and drop a comment on how this video has inspired you. Share our videos and stay tuned for more. Thank you.